Vanessa Oliver, and I'm a registered dietitian with UK HR Health and Wellness. I'll be joined today by Chef T of the UK Food Connection, and we are going to talk about brassicas, which is a fancy name for leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi. Bonus points if you want to put in the chat what some other brassicas could be, see what you all know already. But we do hear around this time of year that people start to have their refrigerators look quite floofy, right? There are things coming out. There's lots of kale, there's cabbage, there's lots of different kinds of kale actually, and things that maybe take up a little bit more room and you're not really sure what to do with them. So we are going to help you do a little bit with that today. Just to let you know that this demonstration is being recorded. So if you need to step away for any reason at all, don't worry, we've got you. We will send the recording out to you at the end of the day or maybe tomorrow once it's all uploaded to YouTube, etc. We will also send you all the recipes for today, so you'll be able to make these things at home. We've got Olivia Cassidy moderating the demo for us today. So if you do have questions as we go along, just be sure to put them in the chat and then she'll let us know what questions are popping up. So just to remind you all to keep your mics muted for the duration of the demo, and I think we'll get started. Okay, so I'm going to start off doing some collard green roll-ups. Okay, and collard greens look like this, right? So I think a lot of us are probably used to them being somewhat long simmered, maybe with a turkey leg or ham hock. But this is going to be another way to use them maybe for lunch or dinner or a quick little snack. And the really cool thing about this particular recipe is honestly, you put anything in there, like anything. Okay. I'm going to do it today with some hummus that I've made from scratch, which is incredibly easy. I'll talk about that in a minute, and a variety of just vegetables that are in season. If you don't have collard greens, but you do have something like Swiss chard or cabbage, you could absolutely use this recipe for that as well. So this is some kale maybe. So this would be a really great way to use up some leafy greens that might be hanging out in your fridge. Now you might see that this is a little bit floppy. Maybe it looks a little bit brighter green than you would think. It's because it's been blanched. So blanching means that you take your leaf and you dunk it in boiling water for about 1 to 2 minutes. It sort of depends on how strong your leaf is. The collard green has a lot of fiber in it, which is good for us, right? But it does mean that it's going to be longer on that 1.5 minute to 2 minute boiling time. And then immediately after that time is passed, you're going to dunk it in ice water. Okay, so whenever you're setting up your station to blanch your greens, you want to have your boiling water going and you want to have that bowl of ice water ready to go. Because I guarantee you, if you start fumbling around trying to make the ice water, then things are going to fall apart in that pot. Okay, and yeah, we don't want that. So when we talk about mise en place, we've talked about that before in these demonstrations. That means having everything ready to go. And this is going to be a great example of having everything ready to go. So I've gone on and blanched these already, but if some of you were here for Chef T's last demo last Tuesday, yes, perhaps on July 11th of 2023, you will see that she did actually demonstrate that blanching technique. So we can always include a link to that video so you will be able to know what's going on. The nice thing about blanching, and you can do this for all kinds of vegetables too, if you want to prep them for freezing, for example, it locks in freshness, it locks in vitamins and minerals, and it also helps things stay longer in the freezer. Okay, so you're doing a little bit of cooking, you're beginning to almost break down some cell walls, and what that means is the ice crystals won't be breaking down those cell walls for you. When ice crystals in the freezer break down those cell walls, that's what makes things a little bit mushy when you take them out of the freezer, and that's what we don't want, right? So this is a great sort of prepping technique for getting your veggies ready for the freezer as well. So what I'm going to do here, I've got these beautiful collard greens from Elmwood Stock Farm, and you'll see that I'm cutting down the center and taking that stem out, because the stem, while it's edible, is a little bit of a different texture than the collard green, so we don't want it in our wrap. And what I'm doing is sort of tucking those ends in. So now we have sort of a nice round surface. And I mentioned that I've got some hummus here. This is homemade hummus. If you knew how easy it would be to make your own homemade hummus, you would really never buy it again in the store. But I understand if people, I'm not going to judge. It's really just canned chickpeas, a little olive oil, a little bit of the chickpea juice, some lemon juice, some cumin, and some salt and some garlic. I can include that recipe in the packet that we'll send out to you, but then you just let it go in the food processor for about 2 minutes, or if you have a strong blender, you can use that too. And you want it to be pretty smooth, so it looks like store-bought. I'm going to add, just for today, a little bit of fancy. And this is going to be some green garlic pesto, garlic scape pesto. You can see that, but this is from Blue Moon Farm. You may have seen them and their beautiful garlic and garlic braids at the Lexington Farmers Market. So say hi to Jean and Leo next time you hit that market. And I'm just doing this for a little bit of flavor. You could also add things like grated beets or pesto. Those would be really nice additions to either your own hummus or store-bought. So I'm just going to spread this a little bit. And Tanya and I were joking earlier, the real key with making a successful wrap is to resist overfilling. So you're going to want to do it. All right. But if you do overfill, it's going to be difficult to wrap and to roll up. If you run into an issue, which I probably will, I'm not going to lie, wrapping is not my my best skill. But if you do run into it and it falls apart, it doesn't matter. It's going to taste delicious anyway. You could eat it and just pretend that you made a salad instead. Okay, so I've got here some green onion, some radish, and what I've done is I've cut these all up pretty thin. Okay, so they're like little matchsticks, if you can see that. All right, and again, you can really do any vegetable you want. I just put in some kohlrabi. I've got some carrot, and I've got some little raw beet sprinkled in. If you've never had raw beets, you should try it. Of course, you can always cook them as well. Unfortunately, this avocado is not from the farmer's market because we don't live in California, but you know, it's always nice to have a little bit of heart-healthy fat in there too. So we've got some protein from the chickpeas. We've got some stained fingers from the beets. We've got some carrots and kohlrabi, radish and scallion, a little cucumber, a little carrot. You've probably got about half a cup of vegetables there. You know what? That's 1 serving of vegetables right there. Plus your collard green, we're entering 2 servings of vegetables in just this little roll. I'm going to add also some microgreens from Salad Days Farm. And microgreens are like little seeds that have just started to sprout, and then you cut them and they have concentrated nutrition. So they're a really fun and crunchy way to get even more nutrition into your roll. And then all I'm going to do here is tuck the sides in like I'm rolling a burrito. All right. Tuck as you need to. Flip here. Keep sort of tucking the sides as you roll. Maybe smush everything together a little bit. And then you've got this nice little roll. And then you're going to use a sharp knife. And you've got, can we see it? There we go. This sweet little roll. It almost looks like a little bit of a veggie sushi. Okay, so very cute. And then you can make as many as you like. A good serving, probably going to be about 2 or so. Okay, but of course, make as many as you want to eat. Now, to go with this, I'm going to make a little bit of a dressing. Okay, and this is going to be a lime, basil, jalapeno sort of dipping sauce. So in here, I've got some garlic, tahini, Dijon, a little bit of salt, and the jalapeno. I'm going to go on and add some basil. All right, I'm going to add some juice, I'm going to add the cutest little honey bear that anyone has ever seen from Hosey Honey. And I did pick this up also from Blue Moon. They were selling it at their stand. Just a little bit sweetened to taste. I know not everyone likes sugar in their dressing, but this will take a little bit. And I've got a little bit of olive oil. I'm just going to take the cap off for ease. Usually, there's a good ratio for making your own salad dressing. Depending on how acidic you like things, it can be either 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 oil to acid. So the acid in this case is going to be the lime juice. Of course, you could use lemon juice or vinegar or other citrus juice, or even maybe some pomegranate juice in there. And that's going to create that sort of acidic balance that you want for the oil. So now we're going to cross our fingers and hope this immersion blender works. So sorry, we were sort of laughing about this. It might make a terrible noise. So apologies if it does. Okay. Sounds about a 5 on the terrible noise scale. So not so bad, not so bad. And we've got this nice little dipping sauce that I'm going to put in a little ramekin here. And you can, of course, add more or less oil. You could add cilantro instead of basil. You could add really whatever you like. Okay, but you can see here how this would be a fun little lunch. Right? And it packs up well too. If you wanted to make these ahead of time, go on and individually wrap each roll in a little bit of saran wrap and then cut it when you're about ready to eat it. So it can travel pretty well too. Right. See if anyone has any questions about, I think we're okay, maybe. Olivia, are we doing okay on questions?
Yep, all good so far. Julia says that her husband says that your fridge looks like a forest.
It's extra floopy. Yes. Yes. That's kind of how ours looks at home as well. I think my husband is here and he can definitely back that up for me. So, okay, I'm just going to do a little switcheroo and get ready for the next very quick thing that I'm going to make. Very careful. Mission impossible over here. Okay, ta-da! Yes. Oh. And now I'm going to make another dish that uses some leafy greens, and I'm going to use kale. This is going to be pretty quick here. Okay, so this is a kale salad with peaches and Gouda and pecans and a peach champagne mint dressing, okay, with a little bit of hot honey. So I'm going to get started here. Now, I'm using just regular curly kale on this. You can also use Tuscan kale if you like. In fact, the original recipe called for Tuscan kale, which is also known as dinosaur kale or lacinato kale, sometimes Tuscan black kale, but any kind of floofiness that is making your refrigerator look like a forest, go on and use it. And what I've done here is I cut it up into sort of strips just by taking the stem. Again, you want to take that center stem out of the kale and give it a little bit of cutting across the leaf, and it'll create these nice sort of bite-sized pieces. And then what I did is I massaged it. Now I know that this is almost like a punchline at this point, but the reason why you massage kale with a little bit of oil, maybe a little bit of salt, is it helps break down that fiber. Again, we love fiber, right? It keeps us full. It's good for our heart. It's good for all kinds of systems in our body. But sometimes we want to do a little bit of the work with our ingredients first. And so the oil and the salt, when we rub that into the kale, is going to make it a little bit softer, a little bit easier to chew, and a little bit easier to digest. So that's what I've done here. So I'm just going to add some kale. That's going to be our base. And again, you can use whichever kind of kale you like. Okay. I'm going to add in some peaches, and the peaches here are just thinly sliced, and I went on and tossed them in a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of the champagne vinegar that I'm using in the dressing, just to make sure that they didn't get too brown while I was prepping. Oops. I've got some Gouda cheese that I've cubed up at a time. And, you know, I'm just measuring with my heart here, so just do what you need to do. And then these are toasted pecans that are also salted. And that's my preference, but you can use really unsalted or whichever nut you prefer. I like that. All right, so we've got some protein from the cheese. We've got heart-healthy fats from the pecans. We've got some vitamin C and fiber and little vitamin B from the peaches. And then we've got a bunch of vitamin B, vitamin K, vitamin A, and fiber from that kale. I'm just going to toss all of that together. Add a little bit of salt. Going to add some mint. I also just went on and threw in a little bit of basil because I had it. And then one other thing I thought I would do. So you guys have probably seen that corn is at the farmers markets right now. This is a bicolor variety. Sometimes people call it peaches and cream, but this is from Johnson Brothers farmers market stand. And I thought it would be really nice with the salad. And honestly, this just goes to show you that when you're starting out with a surplus of leafy greens, you can add all kinds of things to it, and it's going to be really delicious. So I just cut some of that fresh corn right off the cob there. That's all you really need to do to it. Okay. Does anyone know the microwave trick for shucking corn? Make it a little bit easier to do. I think it's 3 minutes for an ear per ear. So you can put a whole ear in the microwave for 3 minutes, and then that shuck, it'll just slide right off. So if you have difficulty doing that, then that'll be a good tip for you. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to use my friend, the immersion blender. We're going to really hope that it's going to behave. So what I've got in here is another peach, some champagne vinegar, which is here. We've got some hot honey, which you can get at pretty much any grocery store now. It's called spicy honey sometimes, or honey sauce. I got mine at Trader Joe's. Little salt and pepper. That's pretty much it. So,
wow, chilies at the farmer's market though, if you wanted to see your own honey.
Well, yes. So Tanya is shaming me just a little bit.
I have no shame.
No. Hot honey is really easy to make. It's really just honey that is infused with chili, whether it's dry chili or if you want to buy chilies at the farmer's market and do it yourself. You could also probably use pepper jelly. I'm thinking.
Yes,
so yeah, if you see that at your farmer's market, or if you have some at home, that would also be a great addition to this. Okay, we'll be quiet here. Oh yeah. So my container is a little bit too shallow for what I'm doing, and that's why it's taking a while. But it'll get done. There we go. So an immersion blender, which is what I'm using, is honestly one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. I use it for making salsa. When I make salsa at home to can, I use it for soups a lot. It's great for butternut squash soup, for example. Usually great for salad dressing. So this is going to be a little bit thick. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more vinegar. And you can see, again, we're getting like another serving of fruit in our dressing. I'm just going to give that a little toss. You don't need much, but you can, again, just sort of dress as you prefer. A bit of salt. This looks actually delicious. Thanks. We've got the kale and the mint, the peaches and the corn and the pecans. I mean, that is just like summer on a plate right there. And oops, that's close. And there we go. So I'm going to clean up and let Tanya get at the station here. And again, we're going to send you all of these recipes after the end of the demo today. If anyone has any questions, please let us know. And Olivia can feed us those questions.
All right, and as Vanessa is cleaning up, I'm going to start moving in with the first kit for today. So I have a couple of summer salads to show you. We're going to start off today with a cauliflower salad. We're kind of at that a little bit more toward the end of cauliflower broccoli season, but there's still some out there. It's still really tender and delicious. So I wanted to show you this recipe. It does require turning your oven on, but sometimes we have to do that through the summer anyway. And while you are, or you can grill your cauliflower on the grill if you're throwing something on anyway. So I'm going to show you this beautiful purple garlic that we have here. I got this from Steve's Produce. It was grown in Boyle County. Deep, deep jewel tone purple. Is that not absolutely beautiful? And it's delicious. It's got a sweetness like corn. We're going to take the big outer leaves off, but we're going to leave the little tiny internal leaves on. That'll one, give us some visual interest, and also we're not getting rid of or wasting so much of the leaves. I am going to take this core off, and then we'll just cut this into the florets. And this doesn't have a big stalk on it, so I'm just going to start taking the tip of my knife and cut through what's left of the stem. These will be a little sharp on the ends, sort of arrow points at the ends. But this is the way it'll be really nice to roast. So we're going to throw those right there. I've got a bowl right here where we'll toss those in there. Don't worry if you get a little bit smaller pieces, that's perfectly fine. You just may not have to roast them as long. I've got some white onion here cut into real thick wedges, about 1/2 inch. And I'm going to sprinkle this with just a little bit of Madras curry powder. Curry and cauliflower, it's like someone engineered them to go together.
One of my favorites.
A little bit of salt, a tiny squeeze of olive oil, just enough to get everything, all that curry to stick to the veggies. And we'll give them a little toss. Whoa, we got a rogue. And a little bit of a wild toss there. Watch the curry powder. If you are doing this at home, you may want to wear an apron, especially if you sling stuff around like I do. And just enough to coat everything here. And we will spread that out really well on a sheet pan with parchment on it. And we're going to throw that into a 400-degree oven. That will roast around 12 to 15 minutes, depending on your oven, depending on the moisture level of our veggies and the size that you cut them. I just want to get them a tiny bit tender. And through the magic of TV, I've already done that. So we've got some here, and if our other soup comes out in time, we'll just mix everything together. It gave it a little bit of a yellow color, and you can see, I hope, that's a dark purple, but there's a little bit of browning on all of these veggies. So that gives us that lovely caramelization, and that's why we roast vegetables, really. Now, in addition, we have some local eggs. These are center field eggs, and all I've done is just boil them. I do the Julia method, bring it up to a boil, let them go for about 11 to 13 minutes at a simmer, and then get them cold really quick, peel them right away. For me, that is the trick.
I have a different way, but
You do the steamed method,
I do
right?
the steamed method, yes.
I'm just going to take the back part of my fork and kind of smush these a little bit. We're just breaking
It's perfect.
these up. I was worried about them because I didn't time them. We get to talking here in the kitchen, and I let things go, like the pumpkin seeds I just burned. I don't know if you can smell those, but we'll start with some fresh ones. So we've just broken these up a little bit, and now we're going to make a dressing to pull everything together. It's a real simple dressing. I have adapted this slightly, just the tiniest bit from Yotama Ottolenghi. This is a recipe I got for, I think, his Simple. This is one of his more simpler recipes, so it's got to be from Simple, or Ottolenghi itself, or Jerusalem, or Nopi. He has some beautiful cookbooks and lots of restaurants around London. So this is a half a cup of Greek strained yogurt, and to that I'm going to add about a quarter of a cup of tarragon, fresh tarragon. It's going to be a little bit different flavor. That's what I love about Ottolenghi, is that he mixes some flavors together that you aren't really used to. And here I have a garlic scape. Vanessa, you have done a whole class on garlic scapes,
yeah,
right?
I did. So garlic scapes are the center stem of the hard neck garlic variety, and they're kind of an added value product for farmers, because they're able to cut them in the spring before the garlic comes out. But it actually helps the plant, because once you cut those scapes, then the plant can put all the energy into developing beautiful garlic bulbs, and then we get garlic in the springtime.
And as you can see, I just sliced this up really thin. I'm going to mince it a tiny bit. You can use it just like you can use cloves of garlic. I'm going to have about a teaspoon here. I'm adding that to my yogurt. I have the juice of 1 lemon squeezed already here. I'm going to add, all of that. That seems like a lot for that little bit of yogurt. I also have some Aleppo pepper. Now, if you like crushed red pepper, you're going to love Aleppo pepper. It's an Italian variety. Syrian variety of
It's
pepper.
real fruity.
Very fruity, has a lot of background notes, not just the heat that you get from some crushed pepper. And then this is some cumin that I just dry toasted in a tiny saute pan over the heat. No oil, you just shake it around until it starts to get really fragrant, turns a little dark, it might pop a little bit. And then I crushed it with a meat tenderizer. You could also, if you want to get some use out of your mortar and pestle, then you could do that as well. So I'm just going to stir that together. And I think my salt's in here. So, oh yeah. So do just a pinch of salt in here. So we've got that brightness of the yogurt and the lemon juice. And then we also have the coolness of the tarragon, sort of that floral quality of it, that smoky, earthy cumin. We've got a lot of different, and then a little bit of heat from the Aleppo pepper. We are going to take all of this and put it in a large bowl. Whenever you're doing salads, you always want to, like, you don't want to overstuff anything that you're rolling or stuffing. You don't want to underestimate what size bowl you need. Always give yourself plenty of room when you're making a salad, especially a bound salad. You want plenty of room to toss and stir everything around. So I'm just taking everything that was on my sheet pan.
You use the word bound salad. Can you explain what that means?
A bound salad, unlike your leafy lettuce salads with the vinaigrette, a bound salad is usually, it has a tighter dressing on it that is going to hold everything together. So think chicken, or a lot of times we think chicken, tuna, egg. We don't a lot of times think about vegetables as a bound salad, but they're absolutely delicious this way. And you get to try new veggies. You get to add more veggies, more fiber, and get those servings in, is which we always try to stress here. So I'm going to take that lovely yogurt sauce, sprinkle it around, some dollops here and there. And I'm going to take those crushed eggs, and we're just throwing everything in the bowl. This couldn't be easier. And then give it a toss. Now, I always warn everybody who comes to this kitchen, you don't just dump your dressing in. You add a little and see if it's going to, we're seeing if it's going to bind all this salad together. And this is just about it. I think I might need one more little dollop. But that's it. So that's a really simple, thank you. That's a really simple summer salad. It's got lots of protein, lots of fiber, tons of flavor. We're relying more on that balance of flavor in that yogurt dressing than salt or fat, really. Lots of fresh herbs. If you're not a fan of tarragon, you could always use your favorite other herb, but maybe give it another try. Our brains are elastic, and that means our palates are elastic. So you never know when you're going to have that one dish that makes you like something all of a sudden. So that's our first salad, and that's the only one that requires a whole lot of cooking. Take there.
No questions yet, Tanya, but Karen wanted you to know that the purple cauliflower is gorgeous.
It is absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Hello, Karen. Nice to see you again. There is also a variety that is beautiful golden yellow, and really you should, if you ever see them, you want to give them a try. They have a delicacy that it's just wonderful, just steamed, just like it is. All right, so for our next one, sticking with the brassica theme, we are going to do a broccoli. Well, I'm calling this summer green salad. It has a lot of stuff. We've got some tender green beans. I got these from Adrienne Eggum over at Stonehenge Farm. She has some beautiful produce. Lots of different things. She always has something a little that you haven't seen before. So I got these green beans from her. And we have kohlrabi as well, just like Vanessa had earlier. It's that time of year. And that's just diced up. And I think I have time to demo that. And then I've got some beautiful broccoli, and this is also from Steve in Boyle County. I have included the stems on this. Now, if I was really surprised because this far up into the year, I thought it might have really tough skin, but it doesn't. It's super tender. It had a long stem on it. And that is my favorite part. And you can just, if you need to peel it, you can. Just take a peeler or even your knife and just get the worst of the skin off. And then you can slice or dice. A lot of people shave broccoli stem and use it for slaws or that ramen salad that people love to mix together.
Egg roll in a bowl.
Egg roll in a bowl also would be great for broccoli stems. That is one way to reduce the waste in our own kitchens and also get all that fiber and flavor. Super sweet. I like stem more than the florets anymore. So we've got that. I will demo real quick. I have the rest of my kohlrabi, and we were talking about earlier that even despite the size of these kohlrabi, they're really tender, they're really moist. If you're not used to the flavor, I'm just going to cut off the ends here quickly and give it a peel. I'm going to do it with my knife because kohlrabi skin can be a little thick. So this way I can kind of judge how much I need to take off a little bit better than a peeler. It's got a taste kind of like broccoli. It has a little bit of a background or cabbage-like. It is called, did you say cabbage turnip?
Cabbage turnip.
Cabbage turnip is what the name means. And yeah, so coal for cabbage. But it takes on a different flavor. It can have a little bit of radish heat sometimes if they're grown in a lot of heat like we're hitting right now. But this one's really mild. It's actually quite delicious. It does have that sort of cabbagey flavor. When you cook them, it does skew a little bit more broccoli tasting. It gets a little sweeter, a little milder. My favorite thing to do with these is to shred them into slaw. You can cook them like potatoes, so steamed saute roast. I've even made a gratin out of kohlrabi. And then all I did was take some slices off of this, about 3/8 of an inch or so, made sticks, which are a great snack. Also with a little tahini on them or something, or some
That's
lime
my
juice
favorite,
and
actually.
chili.
Yep.
And then just cut them into squares. You could dice, you could shave this. I didn't cook my broccoli or my kohlrabi. I just blanched and shot the green beans for a little bit of tenderness. But you could cook all of these different pieces, actually.
You need a big bowl.
I do need a big bowl. I thought I'd grab. Here it is, right here. See, try to be prepared, and then that messes up my organization. All right, so we're going to toss this broccoli in. All our green elements here, the green beans and the kohlrabi. And again, I love the expression measuring with your heart. So just kind of eye it, see what you think, and put, make sure your favorite thing is what you're going to taste most. So we have that lovely greenery right there. And now we're going to stir up some dressing also. You could do this in the blender, and the recipe says to do this in the blender, but I'm just going to stir this up for you because we've had some zhuzhing. We'll do it another way. You could also throw this probably into, if you cut your herbs up enough, you could probably throw this into a canning jar and just give it a good shake. So I've got about 1/2 cup of tahini. We have talked about my addiction to all things sesame when Vanessa and I are together. So we have about 1/2 cup of that, and to that we're going to add.
And tahini too, just in case anyone doesn't know, it's like sesame butter. So if you think about peanut butter from peanuts, tahini is from sesame seeds.
Yes.
And it tastes a little bit like peanut butter, but not.
It's got, okay, so sesame seeds are actually a little bit bitter. So it does have on the very back end, but it's not a bad thing. It's actually a wonderful flavor balancer, that little bit of bitterness to it. One of my what I call my kryptonite is halva, which is sesame fudge. And I don't know how they make it, but it's soft on the inside. It has a little bit of crispiness on the outside, and the sweetness and the little bit of bitterness and a tiny bit of salt. Your palate just goes boom. So I've got a little bit of tamari sauce here for our salty element. I have some white wine vinegar for acidity and tanginess. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to go ahead and give this a stir. Also, you have to be careful with tahini. It is a very dense fat, and if you overwork it, it will seize up. But don't worry, never fear. All you have to do, and we're going to do this at the end here, is add just a wee bit of cool water, and that will take that out. So if you are judging this in a food processor or a blender, and all of a sudden it gets super thick, all you have to do is add a little cool water. So it kind of looks like peanut butter at this point. We are going to add lots of herbs. Let me chop up a few before I start that process. So I've got some parsley here, fresh parsley. I've got some beautiful basil, thyme, and marjoram from Adrienne also. She has gorgeous herbs, and she usually has some beautiful shiso leaves, both green and purple, which would be wonderful. They have kind of a acidity themselves. I'm going to pull off, maybe not all of these parsley leaves. We'll do that. I'm going to pick the basil leaves, except leaving myself a top or two for some garnish, and pull those off. And I'm just going to give those a chiffonade. We're going to make little ribbons out of those. You don't ever have to remember that term. Just know that we're cutting these up into little ribbons, and I'm going to kind of roll them together. Watch your fingers as you do this, and make little teeny tiny cuts, really thin. Sometimes I will use my knuckles to guide, so I keep everything around the same size to start with. And now I do want this fairly small, so that's good. I'm going to mince it. So I'm going to put the tip of my knife down, my hand on the back, and just really chop through there while I'm rocking my knife back and forth, or what we call running our knife through. I want this fairly small, since I'm not going to blend it. Pretty much everything's the same size. Now, when I get toward the end, I can pull my thyme leaves off of here. Beautiful thyme. And you could add some dried leaf, just make sure to add about 1/3 the amount from the dehydration process that will concentrate that flavor. So you don't want to add as much dry herb as you do fresh. Fresh, of course, will be a little bit milder, not concentrated like dried. So some thyme leaves in there, and it's so hard sometimes to find majoram because it's an underestimated herb. It is very floral, has a little bit of, it's piney, kind of like thyme, but it has a little bit of citrusy floralness underneath too. It's really actually a gorgeous herb. I'm surprised people don't use more of it. So we're going to chop all that up together. I have some itty bitty chives over here. So this is something akin to green goddess dressing, except we're using tahini as the base. Kind of inspired by the, who's the person who makes the dressing? Something Organics.
Oh, Newman? No.
It's a woman's name.
Annie?
Maybe Annie's, or I can't remember, but they have a tahini goddess dressing. And it's inspired. So the chives are going in, all the fresh herbs, mixing those in. And yeah, it's pretty thick here. I'm going to do a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. And a little bit more green garlic that I've already minced, since you saw that earlier. And then I have my little jelly jar of water. So I'm just going to whisk and add a bit just to loosen this enough that I can dollop it on, or that it gets to a dressing consistency. I'm so happy I'll have this now. You don't know how many things. This is a great, that would be a great vehicle for this dressing.
It'd be good on those collard green wraps.
On those collard green wraps, yes. Or just if you grill off some veggies, just big chunks of everything right now that is in season, and then just drizzle this on top. You would not believe it. Or steam a bunch of brassicas with this on top. Be marvelous. Okay, let's finish up this dressing then. Gonna do a little drizzle. I'm probably hiding it. There we go. There's quite a bit of broccoli in there. And we'll give that a toss. And now broccoli can have a little bit of natural salinity to it. So I don't usually add a lot more salt to salads. And I salted my blanching water for my green beans, so those should be good. All right, that's good. Again, you want to coat everything. You want everything to be nice and happy and glossy. Anything sort of pooling in the bottom of your bowl. All right, we'll finish this up. Oh, raisins.
Oh, nice. So it's like
My
broccoli
sweet
salad.
element, yeah. So like a broccoli salad, like you've seen before, usually with like a mayo-based dressing on it. I did rehydrate these with a little bit of warm water. You could also make some tipsy raisins, which are delicious. So if you have like a wine bottle, white wine, especially if you've opened it and you're like, I'm not going to use that, it's going to go bad. Use it for cooking. Heat that up and throw it on the raisins so that they get rehydrated, and that makes them a little bit more moist. So that's a nice sweet element to go with everything. We're going to plate this up. And this would be a great one to take somewhere, like for a potluck or a picnic. We were joking in our emails when we were planning this. We're like, oh, this would be a great picnic, all the stuff that we have together.
And that's just going to get better the longer it sits.
The longer it sits, all those herbs and everything will get together. I have some Everett cabbage sprouts.
Those are so pretty.
Because I thought maybe a little contrast. It's a lot of green. So we have these beautiful purple and green sprouts here. Again, we love to include them. And so many folks right here in Lexington are growing them.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be a shame to miss them. They do give you lots of different flavors. Some are really mild, like the sunflower shoots. Pea shoots are really mild. These have a little bit of that cabbagey flavor. Radish shoots can get a little hot. So if you like that little piquancy, that would be great. And then I've got those toasted pumpkin seeds for some crunch.
Yeah.
Right. How's that? 4 recipes in 45 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of amazing.
Do you want to put everything?
Yeah.
Little sprout confetti. All right, so there it is. Any questions?
Got 4 beautiful dishes, 45 minutes. All the brassicas, right? Did anyone think of some other brassicas that we missed? You can go on and stick those in the chat. Thanks, Julia. Thank you so much. I just saw Julia's comment pop up there. Thank you. Oh, Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts.
Yes, that Brussels sprouts are definitely a brassica, otherwise known as little baby cabbages.
Yes.
Yep.
They're wonderful shaped up into a salad.
Yes, they are. That would be great with that zucchini dressing
Yes.
as well. Absolutely. Questions right now. We do, like I said, we will send out the recording of this demo today, as well as the recipes, as well as where we got our local ingredients from. If you want to, if you live in Lexington and you are able to shop at the Lexington Farmers Market, of course, a lot of the growers and purveyors that we buy from are at other markets as well. So talk to your grower, talk to your purveyor, see where they are, what they grow, what they recommend. That is the best way to not only get what tastes good in season, but to learn more about the beautiful produce that the state of Kentucky is able to give us. So again, my name is Vanessa Oliver. I'm a registered dietitian with UK Health and Wellness. And this is Chef T, the head goddess in charge at the Food Connection Kitchen. We will be offering demos periodically throughout the summer. Tanya, do you have another one? I have one coming up and I forgot where
We have one coming up in August with Kentucky Farm Share. I know we kind of cross over audiences a little bit.
Yes.
And that will be about packing lunches for back to school and also for work, but when we're coming into that busy season and how to make add more veggies to your lunches that you take to work and school, and try to make it easy and
so that's
efficient.
a great one to look forward to. Everyone's trying to get their more veggies into their lunch, both for their kids and for themselves. So this isn't just a kid thing either.
Yes.
All right. Looks like I think we're good to go. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. If any questions bubble up after we disconnect today, please feel free to reach out. You can find me, vanessa.oliver@uky.edu, and I'm happy to field questions to Tanya if necessary. I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Stay cool, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.